Hi there. In this video I would really like to chat about some of the realisations I've had since my autism and ADHD diagnosis in my mid-40s and how that played out through my younger years as an undiagnosed neurodivergent teenager and young person. I'm Nicky Butler, also known as the Autistic Joyologist, and really I'm here to open conversations, shine a spotlight on some of the unique challenges that autistic and ADHD females have and have had up until this point. Now, being diagnosed later in life feels like a huge gift in many respects, in that I can now understand myself fully. I have explanations for the experiences that I had up until my mid-40s, and I also have this huge gift of being able to understand myself better and have a happier, calmer and more fulfilled life moving forward. But it does give me a different lens to reflect on the difficulties that I had when I was growing up. I always knew I was different and I never felt like I fitted in. And ironically, I spent 7 or 8 years in therapy as a young adult talking about the fact that I didn't belong and I couldn't connect and what was wrong with me. And at no point did anybody ever suggest that I might be autistic or ADHD. I think about the fact that I lived my life up until the point of diagnosis with an immense amount of shame about who I was, my perceived failings, the fact that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't worthy, I was unlovable, I was broken. That's a pretty bitter pill to swallow. And that's why I do the work that I do, because it is absolutely not acceptable to me that our future generations of girls are going to grow up and have these same lived experiences and punish themselves in the same way that I and many other women like me that had late diagnosis did. And here are some things that I wish I'd known growing up. The first is, I wish I'd known that I was enough and that I didn't need to change to be better or to fit in or to be accepted. And I can never talk about this without feeling emotional, because I think of a younger me and the lengths I went to try and feel that sense of belonging without realising I was becoming more and more disconnected from myself and therefore from other people, because I wasn't connecting on a true level. I was just desperate to find my place in the world. I never did. And the problem with that was it led me to make some decisions I wish I hadn't made. You know, I was saying yes to things that I didn't want to say yes to try and please other people. I started drinking alcohol from the age of 15 to basically help me cope with social situations, to lower the overwhelm that I would feel and the sense of disconnection. And in some ways I look back and I think it suffocated part of my autistic brain and allowed the ADHD impulse risk-taking side of me to take over, lowered my inhibitions. And so I found myself in situations, in friendship circles, doing dares I didn't want to do. I found myself in situations with boyfriends, both from being 16, 17 years old through to adulthood, I didn't want to be in, because I didn't realise my no meant no. Because I felt like I was failing on so many levels. I wanted to be accepted and I wanted to fit in, that I basically became the version of myself that I thought other people wanted from me. And I did the things I thought I was expected to do. And that's where a lot of my shame comes from, those behaviours, those decisions, those choices that I wish I had known I had a choice. I wish I had known that I could say no. So I wish I'd known that I was enough, I was good enough, without needing to bend myself to fit in with everyone else. I also wish that I knew that I could have boundaries, which kind of leads on from that. So I never contemplated the fact that I dare to say no to anybody at all. And I would go out of my way to make sure other people had everything they needed, to do the things that they expected and they needed from me, because I wanted to be accepted and I wanted to fit in. And on the other side of that, the things that I found incredibly difficult or I struggled with, I would go out of my way to cover up so nobody could see the parts of me that I felt were broken. So the things I found difficult or I struggled with, I would do more of the things I was good at to cover up and smoke screen the areas I felt difficult. I believed I was supposed to be good at everything because those early years feedback of, I was supposed to be good from a school age of having certain skills, knowing certain subjects at school, being good at sports, being good at standing up on stage and presenting, being able to make friends. And they were things I struggled with. And so when there were things that I could do well, I would do more of that as a smokescreen for the things I couldn't do well. So wish I'd known, didn't have to be good at everything, and that I could have said no to other people and had boundaries in place that felt good for me. I wish I had known that my role wasn't to make other people proud. That's a really tricky one. I love my parents dearly, and it wasn't them imposing it on me. It was my belief that my actions were supposed to make other people proud. It was an external validation that I was always searching for in every area of my life, whether that was my family, my personal relationships, my friendships, my work. That validation never came from within me. And wish I had been strong enough to know that I was good enough as I was, and I didn't need to wait for other people to give me permission or to validate the fact that I was good or not good in some way or another. And I wonder what my life might have been like if I'd been able to give myself that reassurance, that love and that validation that the things I was doing and the choices I was making were good enough. And I wish I hadn't allowed myself to suffer as much as I did, particularly in silence. My world came tumbling down when I had an autistic burnout, undiagnosed, at 36 and crashed out of corporate. I had tried so hard on every level to keep everything together. Since leaving university, I graduated in 2000. I think it was 2011, 2012 that I came out of corporate. And I had used all of my energy and all of my strength to cope with every area of my life and get to that point. And it ended in a spectacular burnout that lasted a year. Couldn't even walk to Sainsbury's without having panic attacks. I'd leave baskets in the middle of the aisle and I would walk out. And that really for me highlights the fact that I felt like I had to be somebody that society deemed acceptable. I had to live up to the version of success that society held up as being the gold standard. So the job, the house, the car, the boyfriend, I didn't go down the route of marrying or having children, but ultimately from a outward point of view, you would have looked at my life and thought, she's got the job, the car, the house, she's successful. Where inside I felt broken. I felt absolutely broken and extremely miserable. And I can tell you right now that money did not buy me happiness. And I wish that I had known that success has got nothing to do with what society tells you it is. Success is about what's important to you and how you want to live your life and how you want to feel living your life. And so all of that journey has brought me to a point now where I've redefined my version of success. And that isn't based on a financial status or anything to do with the house I live in, the car I drive, the life I lead, the social media perception of success. It's about the fact I now feel in control. I feel calm. I feel as if I'm honouring my own needs. I'm unapologetic about who I am. I'm doing the things that feel rewarding to me, knowing that I'm able to have an impact on other people. And that journey to reflect back on is really painful but really powerful, because I now know why this is so important to me. When I stepped out as the Autistic Joyologist, if you'd have told me 5 years ago that this is what I would have been doing, I wouldn't have believed you, because I wasn't diagnosed and I am super introverted and quiet. And I often get asked, why show up now? Why step out now? But that journey that I've had didn't need to happen. Those experiences, that pain, that trauma, that constant negative self-feedback and searching for validation and belonging, the drive to create a version of success that society approved of was horrendous, and it brought me anything but happiness. But that is now a gift, to be able to share the stories, to connect with other women that I know have had this experience, but ultimately that we can ensure that our future generations of autistic and ADHD girls know that they're enough. They know they're good enough, exactly as they are. I want them to know that their no means no, that if they don't want to do something, if something isn't comfortable for them, their no means no. Their boundaries are important, and they are a sign of self-respect and self-love and self-care. And I want them to know that they can create their very own version of success that brings them happiness and fulfillment and calm in their lives. Like, I'd love to know your thoughts on this. I'd love to know if any of this resonates with you, how you feel about your own experiences, or how you feel about our future generations and the experiences that they might lead, particularly given that social media is so prevalent and it's almost impossible to live your life without that interference. Feel free to drop your comments or reach out to me on socials. And if you prefer, you can DM me or send me an email on hello@autisticjoyologist.co.uk. Thanks for listening, and I really look forward to speaking with you soon.